In this lesson, we will learn how to reverse an animation in Maya using the Scale Keys tool. So in this scene, if we were to hit play, we have a walk cycle, and this is actually from our walk cycle tutorial. Now, what we'd like to do is have the character walk backwards instead of forward. So we'll go ahead and take a look at how to do that. Now, what we need to do is go ahead and find the actual range of this cycle, because right now we're viewing the cycle with infinity turned on. So what that means is that after our range, the walk cycle will continue to go infinitely. And that's the beautiful thing about the cycling tool in Maya. We can save a lot of time. We can use this for, let's say, background characters that need to jog or walk. So in our case, what we need to do is go ahead and figure out that range. How can we do that? Well, there's actually a character set in this scene. Again, we'll take a look at how to create these character sets, but let's go ahead and take a look at the usefulness of them in this lesson. So if we were to go ahead and move down to our playback controls, we can now go ahead and left click on our drop down menu for the character set and take a look. We can access this character's character set from here by holding down the left mouse button and selecting that option. Or we can go to the character menu underneath the animation module and we can choose set current character set, and here it is. Alright, fantastic. So this is going to show us all of the keys tied to this character's control rig. Where's the control rig? Well, if I were to go to show and show NURBS curves, here are those controls. So all of these controls are tied to this character set here, which makes it very convenient, as we can see. Instead of going in and marquee selecting and grabbing all of these controls, we can just go ahead and tie them to just one character set, and now we don't need anything selected. We just need to make sure that the character set is active. Sweet. Alright, so in order to successfully reverse this animation, we need to find the midpoint. So right now we're going from frames 1 to 33. So that means is that our midpoint is going to be frame 17. How do we figure that? Well, we would simply knock off our last frame, and that's going to give us a value of 32. And then we would divide that by 2, and that gives us 16. Now, that last frame that we knocked off, we want to now bring it back. So we add it back, and that's how we get 17. So let's say we do this. We'll go ahead and take our playback end range, and we'll set this to 33. That way we're just focused on our range that we need to flip. Alright, sweet. Now we have a few ways of accessing the Scale Keys tool. We can do so from our Edit menu. That's Edit, Keys, Scale. We're going to go to the options. Here's what we're working with. Now we could also access this same option box from our graph editor. So let's go ahead and take a look at that. I'll go to the Perspective and Graph View. We'll go ahead and grab our character set, and that's going to show us all of our keyframes. So now go ahead and just kind of take a look at what we're working with. If we were to press the F key, we can either frame into all of our function curves, or if we were to go ahead and grab a set of keys, we can press the F key to zoom in to the selected keys. If we were to press the A key, that's going to show us all function curves. Alright, fantastic. So here's what we can do now. We can basically go in and say, hey, I'd like to go ahead and start scaling these by going to the Edit menu right here in the graph editor, and we can choose Scale Options. I'll now go ahead and reset the settings. So we can scale based off of all keyframes or a range, or we can go ahead and choose the scaling method based off of our time slider. Alright, sweet. So I'll go ahead and choose all here. It's going to work just fine. And then next, we can go ahead and choose our scaling method. So that's Start and End, and that is Scale Pivot. You can see with Scale Pivot, we can actually put in a value here, and then we can put a pivot point. So we are going to end up with this, but let's go ahead and take a look at Start End, because this is super cool. So you can see by default it's set to 1 and 10. What do you think this is going to do? It's actually going to take all of our animation and condense it down so that it only goes between frames 1 and 10. Watch this. When we click on Apply, now you can see the animation has been scaled down. Fantastic. So everything here, we had a few keys that were out of the range, but now you can see that they have been scaled in as well. Now watch this. If we were to go ahead and set this back to 33 and click Apply, take a look at that. We're brought back to our original animation range. Let's go ahead and play that through. You could also see that that keyframe that was once out of the range is now inside of this range. So we've just used the Scale Keys tool to clean up our work a bit. Really exciting. All right, let's go ahead and go back to our option box. very important, we want to make sure we're selecting either method here. If we try to use any one of these and we realize that, hey, we don't have anything checked, well, the tool will not function properly. So just go ahead and click one of these just to make sure that it's actually active. Because you might notice that we're under one of these methods, but nothing is actually clicked. All right, so we just want to make sure we select between these if you run into that issue in the option box. All right, so we're going to go ahead and work with the scaling option here. What if you wanted to scale your values? Well, you can go to the value field and we could put in, let's say, -1 to flip all of our values with a pivot point of 0. When we go ahead and click apply, you can see how everything is flipped, but it's going to break our pose. Oh, that's pretty harmful. Let's go ahead and press the Z key to undo back. So instead, what we want to do is go ahead and first remove that -1 from value, and instead we're going to add a -1 in time because that's what we want to flip. What's our pivot point? Well, again, that's going to be frame 17. So now if we go ahead and put in that midpoint of 17, watch this, when we now click apply, the animation has been flipped. All right, so let's go ahead and see what happens to the animation itself. I'll go ahead and close out of the options. I'll go ahead and press the space bar so we can focus in on our perspective view, and we'll go ahead and hit play. Take a look, and now our character walks backwards. How exciting is that? In no time at all, we have reversed the animation using the Scale Keys tool. And since this animation is cycled, if we were to double click on our range bar and hit play, it's going to continue after our frame range of 1 and 33. So that's a look at how to use the Scale Keys tool to not only reverse animation, but we also saw that it's a great way of cleaning up our work if we need keys to be brought within a certain range.